So welcome to A Course in Miracles, Workbook Lesson 167. Before we continue, we wrapped up yesterday on Lesson 166, which pretty much explains the different forms in which death appear in our lives, and not just the dying of the body, but we die every time we're in resistance, every time we raise a complaint or an objection. We resist what is, or we tell a story of suffering, we relive it. Now, true transcendence or awakening, or what some call enlightenment, as I've said before, the person doesn't become enlightened. There's no I to become enlightened. The true I, which is the I am, which is the self-same essence as God, which is called the Holy Son of God or Spirit, is already awake. A part of it appeared to have a dream which never happened in true reality. And that dream is over. But that part which had a dream has not yet forgiven itself in your present conscious awareness. When you transcend human conscious awareness into Christ mind, awareness of awareness itself, there's no more dream or memory thereof. There's no more idea of sin, fear, guilt. There's nothing more to forgive. And so we cannot awaken. The dreamer awakens. We're an activity in the dreamer's mind. As I've said before, you don't wake up in the morning and there's three dream characters that you dreamt about standing next to your bed. They don't awaken. They dissolve when you awaken. We dissolve when the dreamer awakens. Our essence, which assists the dreamer awaken, is our self-same essence or soul, which is our shared soul or self-same essence with God. And so there are some circles in the Course community that say, well, there's no secrets in the mind, so bring all your problems to this community and let's talk about it. When you speak of your problems, you make them real. You then die again to your problems. You stay dead to the true self. In other words, you're alive in the little self, which is not true at all. So you're not living at all. You're dead. So there's many forms of death, and it's not just the dying of the body. It's the resisting of what appears in the dream, in your dreaming mind, when in truth what we should be focusing on is what is real. And what is real is our self, our soul, our self-shared essence with God. And this lesson 167 pretty much sums it up in the first sentence. There is one life. We could also say there's only one life. And that I share with God. God's essence is life itself, is love itself, is light itself, is peace itself. There are no different kinds of life, for life is like the truth. Only truth is true. There's only one truth. That truth is God. And while we're trapped in the duality of I and self, or I'm spirit, or God's Son, abiding in God, which is a concession or concessionary direction towards the final truth, ultimately there's only the I, which is God. God's name, as we've said before many a time, is I am. Full stop. The great I am. And when Jesus was asked, are you the Son of God? He simply answered by saying, I am that I am. There are no different kinds of life. It does not have degrees. That's what spiritual bunnies tell themselves through the different spiritual modalities, which in itself are practices and therefore physical and therefore body-mind activities, although there may be a part of it which is so-called conscious or spiritual. It's still of the body and therefore of death. Life doesn't have degrees. It is the one condition in which all that God created share. God shares life, which is life itself. like all his thoughts, capital T, it has no opposite. There is no death because what God created shares his life. There is no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There is no opposite to God. There is no opposite to life. There is no death because the Father and the Son are one. Why do we even need a word such as the Son of God? Because while we dream, we needed a concept in order to realize there's oneness. It's a progression. First, there was a story of a deity or a Jesus or a Buddha that came and became godlike and showed us the God essence. And then there's the realization that's all there is God. And what appears to be dreaming isn't real. The contents of a dreaming mind asleep aren't real. The dreaming mind isn't real. It just is a tiny glitch that happened in eternity and therefore didn't happen at all. Concessionary explanation. In this world, there appears to be a state that is life's opposite, state of awareness, state of mind, state of consciousness. You call it death, yet we have learned that the idea of death takes many forms. It is the one idea which underlies all, here it is, empaths, feelings that are not supremely happy, or at least supremely peaceful. It is the alarm. So if you're not happy, it is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy or perfect peace. All sorrow, loss, the idea thereof, anxiety and suffering and pain, and even a little sigh of weariness, a slight discomfort, or the merest frown acknowledges death and thus deny you live. Now, this may seem a little extreme. So the body-mind, the activity called the body-mind, the activity of the dreaming mind whereby the dreamer tries to self-realize through this mechanism called body-mind. The minute it appears to be born in form, it starts to die. It is inevitable that it's going to experience some bump or bruise or pain somewhere along its existence because it does stupid things, especially in the male form. It does things which, appears as if it has a death wish. Stupid activities, 300 k's an hour, tumbling down the road because you lost the front end. And so the next day it'll feel pain. But suffering is a thing altogether different. Suffering is the resistance to the pain. And death is not only the resistance to the pain, it's the talking about it and making a hell of an issue of it and going on and on. If you but realize you are formless energy taking form, back to formless energy taking form while you appear to dream. When you awaken, that formless energy, thought in form, dissolve. And there's just energy, just life itself, energy, life. You think death is of a body. You think suffering is of a body. Yet it is but an idea, irrelevant to what is seen as physical. A thought is in the mind. And now it gets into a very direct and kick-ass teaching. A thought is in the mind. So in God's mind, there's a thought, the extension of himself. We call that the sonship. In the dreamer's mind, there's a one true thought, the extension of the sonship, the extension of God's life energy. A part of the dreamer's mind, often symbolized by the yin-yang symbol, is asleep, fell asleep, and dreamt of a universal nightmare, the universe, in which it imagined what it could be. And those thoughts that it imagined took form, formless thoughts that took thoughts in form and then projected into physical form or the appearance thereof. But it's all activities of one dreaming mind. And so the activities, the universe, are thoughts in the dreamer's mind, as the dreamer is a thought in God's mind. It's not God that dreams, but his son, the extension of God, that dreams. This is very different to the rest of traditional Advaita or non-dual teachings, where very often it's said God is dreaming and God dreamt up the stream of the universe in order to know his own nature. How preposterous. I completely flatly deny that. Total nonsense. That's just human concepts trying to make sense of something they make no sense of. Thought cannot leave the mind because the thought is in the mind. It can then be applied as mind directs it, and it's doing so all the time. Make manifest. And all spiritual people love the idea of making manifest. But its origin is where it must be changed if change occurs or seems to occur, as in the dream. Because in the dream, things are constantly changing. Ideas leave not their source. The emphasis this course is placed on that idea is due to its centrality in our attempts to change your mind about yourself that seems to be changing all the time. Aging. Your image, I am age, is permanently aging. It is the reason you can heal, because the real you is changeless, and therefore you apply that to the body-mind. There's no more suffering, and healing could take place if it's aligned with the script that has been written. Or sometimes the miracle takes place if there's still something for you to learn from appearing to still abide on this earth. If you're awoken to self, you won't want to hang on to the body. You'll be more than grateful for the cancerous tumor that's going to kill you in 3 months' time, because, hey, I want to put this body down. I want to return my self-essence, my soul, back to the light of awareness, to my Christ mind, the part of me that's awake. I want nothing more to do with this dream which I dreamt up, which was nothing but a biblical disaster. That mind awake is the cause of healing. It is why you cannot die. Dying, the death of the body is not death. It's just a temporal putting down of an illusionary device, which isn't you. But as long as you're attached to it and fear the death of it, you are trapped in the dream, and you will suffer the consequences of being trapped in the dream. I know that sounds hard, but that's the fact. I can't sugarcoat it anymore. We're too advanced in this course to be sugarcoating this. Its truth is established as one with God, one with it, therefore itself. Death is the thought that you are separate from your Creator. So any thought of suffering, resistance to what is a thought that makes you believe, that is confirmation of your belief that you are an individual body-mind. What is awakening? The realization that this isn't true, that it's one shared indivisible being, which is God's being. Death is the belief conditions change, emotions alternate, because of causes you cannot control. Victim mentality. That you did not make and you can never change. You made this whole damn thing, the entire universe. Oh, let's learn to make manifest. How much more do you want to manifest? You've manifested an entire universe. Didn't make you happy. You manifested your body, projected it into form. How much more do you want? You're unhappy with what it looks like? You projected it. It is the fixed belief ideas can leave their source and take on qualities the source does not contain. That's why you think things are happening to you, not realizing, because you refuse to admit you're thinking them up first, projecting them outwards, and whatever you project outwards, it's like an elastic band. Thoughts are like elastic bands. They come straight back at you. Just like you will go straight back at God when you realize what you are. Be grateful. So it's the fixed beliefs. Idea can leave their source. Take on qualities the source does not contain. Become different from their own origin. Apart from it in kind, as well in distance, time, and form. That's the belief in space-time matter reality. Not true. We don't belong to the materialist belief system. Death cannot come from life. How obvious is that? If God is life, there can be no death from that. Ideas remain united to their source. They can extend all that their source contains, in that they can go far beyond themselves. You can extend it, but they cannot give birth to what was never given them. As they are made, so will their making be. As they are made in error, so will their errors be. As they were born, so will they then give birth. And where they come from, there they will return. So if your resistance thoughts come from your dreaming mind, projected outwards, where are your dreaming thoughts going to? Straight back at you, like a freight train. And yet when you awaken to self, what happens to you? You go straight back, like a freight train, straight back into God. Be grateful. The mind can think it sleeps, but that is all. It cannot change what it is. It cannot change what is its waking state. It cannot make a body nor abide within the body. You're not a spirit in a body. You're a spirit dreaming and projecting a body onto a dreaming screen. That doesn't exist. The universe doesn't exist. It's contents of your dreaming mind, and your dreaming mind asleep isn't true, because your dreaming mind isn't real. Your mind is awake, and awake in God, for God is awakeness. What is alien to the mind does not exist, because it has no source. For mind creates all things that are, and cannot give them attributes it lacks, nor change its own eternal, mindful state. It cannot make the physical. What seems to die is but a sign of the mind asleep. It's a symbol. It's not true. The opposite of life can only be another form of life. As such, it can be reconciled with what it created, what created it, because it's not opposite in truth. Its form may change or appear to. It may appear to be what it is not. Yet mind is mind. It's like saying spirit is spirit, awake or sleeping. It is not opposite in anything created, nor in what it seems to make when it believes it sleeps. It seems to make when it believes it sleeps. There's a part of it which believes it's asleep. There's a part of it that knows it is awake in God's awakened forever mind. God creates only mind awake. God does not sleep. And his creations cannot share what he gives not, nor make conditions which he does not share with them. The thought of death, suffering, guilt, sin, fear, whatever, all of it is just ideas. And that's why no matter how horrific the world seems, and no matter how horrific your life seemed to be, you forgive it because it was not real. The thought of death is not the opposite to thoughts of life. Forever unopposed by opposites of any kind, the thought of God remains forever changeless, with the power to extend forever changelessly. Our brain can't get around that. How can extension not change? For it's the self-same thing forever. But yet within themselves, for they are everywhere. Remember, mind is mind, awake or asleep. It's not opposite in anything created, nor what it seems to make when it believes it sleeps. And God only extends awake mind. God doesn't sleep, so it's the idea of sleep is just only in the dream. What seems to be the opposite of life is merely sleeping. When the mind elects to be what it is not, this entire universe, and to assume an alien power which it does not have, making manifest and dying, a foreign state it cannot enter, or a false condition not within its source. It merely seems to go to sleep a while. It dreams of time, an interval in which what seems to happen has never occurred. The changes wrought are but substanceless, and all events are nowhere. When the mind awakes, it but continues as it always was and is and forever shall be. Let us today be children of the truth, innocent, defenseless innocence, open-minded, not come with preconceived ideas, unadulterated, no adult thoughts, and not deny our holy heritage, our inheritance. Our life is not as we imagine it. Who changes life because he shuts his eyes or makes himself what he is not because he sleeps and sees in dreams an opposite of what he is? We will not ask for death in any form today, because death only comes in form. Life comes in light energy, forever extending. Nor will we let imagined opposites to life abide even an instant where the thought, capital T, of life, God, eternal, has been set by God himself. We will not ask for death in any form, in terms of the ideas of enemies and the world attacking us and the victims of the world we see. The ideas of scarcity, we're not good enough, we're dying or we're ill or whatever. We never give that attention anymore. His holy home we strive to keep today, as he established it and wills it be forever and forever. Because the thought of life eternal has been set by God himself, forever and forever, which is eternal here now. He is Lord of what we think today and thought, and the only thought we have ever thought. And in his thoughts, which have no opposite, we understand there is one life, and that we share with him, with all creation, with their thoughts as well, whom he created in a unity of life that cannot separate in death and leave the source of life from where it came. Thoughts leave not the mind that thought them up, not even in the dream. And that's why attack thoughts are your thoughts coming back at you. Every thought you have is like an elastic thought. So just remember this. Every thought you have is going to come smacking you straight back. You pull the elastic band, you think you're going to smack someone, comes back and smacks you on the finger. That's it. We share one life because we have one source, a source from which perfection comes to us, remaining always in the holy minds which he created perfect. As we were, so are we now, and forever, and will forever be. A sleeping mind must awaken, as above, so below. You wake up every morning, as it sees its own perfection mirroring the Lord of life. You are the mirror to God. You are the mirror to Christ. So perfectly, it fades into what is reflected there. A sleeping mind must awaken, as it sees its own perfection mirrored back at itself, mirroring the Lord of life so perfectly, it fades into what is reflected there. You don't wake up. You fade, you dissolve in the light of your dreaming mind, Christ mind awareness. And now it is no more, now it is no more a mere reflection. Because you are, for now, a reflection. The truth of you is a reflection of what you truly are. Now it becomes a thing reflected. The light which makes reflection possible. No vision now is needed, for the awakened mind is one that knows its source, itself, its holiness. Be you that knowingly. Complete and total non-dual understanding. One source, one God, one life, one self, one Holy Son of God, one energy, one essence, one shared being forever. The part that dreams the illusion never happened. The part that remembers itself is forever itself the extension of that which is our source. What other possible worry can you have? The minute you give attention to the thoughts of this world, resist what is, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too this, it's too that. They're doing this and they're doing that. And these people are cruel. And I don't like this and I don't like that. And I wish this was different. You're straight back into death. And death means forgetfulness. And forgetfulness means you suffer your forgetfulness. Return to God. Return your mind to God. Return your mind willingly to God. Now, as I've said before, it's a natural process. You can't fix it. You can only set up the conditions in which it takes place. And to do that, you practice forgiveness until there's nothing more to forgive. If you haven't practiced forgiveness, even when you abide in silence, attack thoughts come. Because what are attack thoughts? They're unforgiven thoughts. The more you practice you practice vigilantly and consciously forgiving the thoughts by realizing the benefit that came to you. And the benefit is always it brought you to self, brought you to find another way, and thus brought you to the awakening of self. Then you can offer those, what were once attack thoughts, gratitude. And as you abide in silent stillness, that's the perfect condition because you're mirroring the condition of God's essence, which is silent stillness. And the minute you mirror the essence of your holy self is healed. So it appears as if it heals you, but it's just healing taking place, which is perfection taking place, which is light taking place, which is life taking place. And then when you come out of your meditative, gentle awareness, it becomes all pervading. And the more you practice, the more it becomes your awareness. You become aware of awareness itself. First, you had to sit and meditate. Then you can act, and it's still all pervading because it is all pervading. It is that in which we abide as that which is our source. Be you that knowingly. Amen.